Hello, guys. Welcome to another review of a WWE program. This time, the review for the 16th of February 2026 episode of Monday Night Raw. Rare occasion where I did not watch live. I find it difficult to do that sometimes because I'm European. Majority of time, I'll stay up, watch it. I'll even have time to do a review afterwards because I'm mostly nocturnal. But at the moment, not the case. I was asleep at 10 o'clock. It starts at 1 a.m. local time. Finishes about half three. I woke up at like half five. So for a rare occasion, I had the benefit of being able to watch it back, fast forward, rewind stuff, where I see fit. And I still didn't feel the need to take too many notes for some of the actual matches here tonight. My God, man. I think this was the worst show of the year candidate. I didn't like the show. I didn't think it was great. It wasn't awful. It was just boring. It was lifeless. The crowd in Memphis, Tennessee, there tonight had some moments where they were okay, but for the most part, they were just kind of quiet. Didn't really give much of a shit. And in a lot of places, I can't say I blame them. I don't think this was a good show. It began with the Heat Man and Jay and Jimmy Uso, the tag team champions. Their music played. Well, Jay's. They come out, they start yeeting, however, they were interrupted right away by Paul Heyman and the Vision, who were suddenly started the aisleway. Heyman was talking, and then Logan Paul came out. I could not believe this. I didn't hear this at all. He claims he sold a trading card, a gaming trading card, which Michael Cole later on identified as saying it was a Pikachu Pokemon card. He sold it for $16 million. He said later on, I found out it was $16.5 million, bordering on 17. Bro, who in the fuck is paying that much money for a trade card? My God. I thought we ripped them off. I remember years ago, me and my brother had a rare card. I think it was a Alakazam or something. And my brother sold it for 50 quid. And we thought we were rolling it then. That was like amazing. I was able to pay for a game. Good God, man. Insane. Insane. I heard later on there may be some scam allegations against them for this. So, I mean, it's not the first time Logan Paul's been involved in some being alleged of scam people. So who knows? He may not hear the last of this. He may end up going and getting sued or something. Who the fuck knows? Jesus Christ! But throw is it? Maybe the person who bought that was at the event tonight because TKO love overcharging and people throw away the money at that as well. So who knows? Theory and Heyman complained about the masked man's interference last week. Triple H's infamous masked man, who he fucking loves weaving out every week. What did you know? Of course, this guy made an appearance again later on that night. But Adam Pearce came up. Heyman asked Bronson Reed to be put in the chamber, which was later on confirmed. Well, he wanted Bronson Reed to be put straight into the chamber as compensation, basically, for the discretions this outsider, the masked man, is doing against the Vision. Peter said, yeah, you'll get your opportunity, but you'll have to qualify for it. And later on, that match was announced. We'll get to that when we get to it. LA Knight then came out, yeah. He was wearing an Unchosen shirt, which he started wearing now. I kind of like, if Drew McIntyre was the chosen one, LA Knight is the Unchosen one. Obviously, a nod to the fact that he's very much like one of the people's champions right now, and creative just don't seem to give a shit. He is the Neely man. They always put him just up in reach of something and take it away. Like he qualified for Chamber last week. He's not good with it, man. He's a perennial runner. It's sad. But yeah, he comes out. He made me laugh. He called Logan Paul a simple-minded broccoli head. The modern criticism of these fucking Gen Zers is they all have the same fucking broccoli hairstyle. I don't really think this applies to Logan Paul. I'm not gonna lie. Or is it a simple-minded broccoli head bitch? You called him. Oh, whatever. That made me laugh. He invited the Usos down for a 6-man tag against the Vision. He said, "Oh look, you two are up there. I know we've had our differences. Knight and the Usos, this is, and of course they have, especially LA Knight and Jey Uso. But he said, look, you guys are there. They're stood there. They've said fuck up this whole time. They got interrupted. They just been made to look like geeks. The yeeting got hijacked. At the end of the day, I'm not complaining about that. Fuck the yeeting. Every week they have to wheel it out. Oh, we need Jay and Jimmy to come out. And yeah, Jimmy's been pulled into this bullshit. We need Jay and by extension Jimmy to come out and they have to do a yeet. Even if they do, sometimes they don't even do a promo. They just come out, they yeet, and then they just fuck. Let's go. The Vision interrupted that, so I actually applaud the Vision for that. But Knight proposed this match, and Adam Pearce agreed. He made it official, and it's right now. So, after a mini brawl to start this match, where the faces cleared them out one by one, Logan Paul and Austin Theory were flung out of the ring, and then it took a while to get. It took. I feel like they did this too long, honestly. It took a while to get Bronson Reed, Big Bronson, out. They were just kind of beating on him, hitting him single time. He's moving from back and forth to one to another. As LA hits it, yeah, and as Uso hits it, yeet. Crowd were involved at the start, at least. But I feel like that was too long because all that happened to Austin Theory and Logan Paul was they were just basically like thrown through the ropes, and then you have to sell outside for like a minute for this bullshit. It's fucking just stupidity. I get you. They're trying to build up. It's Bronson Reed. He's not going to go down instantly. They have to kind of beat on him for a while to get him off his feet, get him off the ring before they start the match. Rings bell's not even gone. But yeah, like that sequence went on about 30 seconds or so, and that was way too long. Anyway, bell finally goes. Knight and Paul stop. A lot of back and forth here. Faces were on top at the start, but then slowly but surely, LA Knight gets isolated, and he just gets beat on for basically the whole match. Bro, when you talk about he's a nearly man, I feel like I'm being kind. He's just booked to be such a fucking loser, and it happened again. He gets beat on. Eventually, it changes. It finally sprung to life about 10 minutes into the match. Sorry, LA Knight gave a BFT to Austin Theory on the outside floor. Bronson Reed speared LA Knight through the timekeeper barricade. They love that shit. They do it every single show. Lash did it to Rhea on Friday. It's just WWE has a real problem in the modern era of just killing things dead. They overdo it. So that means nothing. I'm sure this spot, it's so far back now, I can't even remember, but I'm sure when he started doing it, it was shocking. It was like, oh man, that looked rough. You see it all the time. It's literally every show. Anyway, back in the ring, the Usos give the 1D to Logan Paul. Bronson breaks the pin. Bronson then did this looked great for a man of Bronson's size and his build as well. He just looks like a fucking cannonball. He did a suicide dive and it really clean one. He did it better than EO did this week or last week. He did a suicide dive, cleared out both Usos, got Jimmy back in the ring. Logan Paul hits Jimmy with his big right hook. Jimmy goes down and tsunami to Jimmy, and the Vision wins. LA Knight was never seen again after getting hit through the barricade. He was never seen again for the rest of the night, I think, after coming out and proposing the match, which they then lost. I do think they should have lost. I think the Vision have taken too many defeats lately. But man, they just make him look like a fucking geek every time. He's constantly chill. After the match, Logan Paul grabbed the headphones off Michael Cole, and the camera's kind of from behind the desk here, looking at him. He's talking shit, and then all of a sudden, the infamous Masked Man comes back, makes his 50th appearance last year under very many different guises, and he stomps Logan Paul out, and then flees. Bronson Reed was still in the ring. I know where the fuck Theory was, but Bronson tries to give chase. The Masked Man's already away, and then he stops at the top of the stage. They didn't chase him very hard. He fucking full on got up the steps and stopped. Bronson Reed just kind of gave up. He was like, oh, whatever. Stops, turns around for a while, and I'm thinking, is he going to unmask here? Because that is exactly what Austin Theory did He ran up the same aisle, stopped at the same point, where the Usos were stood earlier, and kind of stopped for a minute, stared at the ring, but nothing. It just cut away then. The matches, Chamber qualifying matches, were announced really early this week. They were announced immediately after this. We have Raquel Rodriguez versus Io Sky versus Kairi Sane for the Women's Chamber qualifier. And Bronson Reed versus Jey Uso versus Chad Gable's Americano. The OG Americano. I'm not surprised by the women's qualifier here. I can only assume Roxanne Perez is out for some reason. I don't think she was on the show this week at all. I'm not even sure she was on last week. Raquel's, of course, just recently come out from a number one contender match with Baker, with Philly Street Fight, which a lot of people criticised. I thought it was good. A lot of people have hated on this match. I will live and die on this. I thought that was a decent match. I thought they both did well. And Raquel's come out of this looking on better in recent weeks. But yeah, no Roxanne. I mean, of course, Roxanne was in the chamber itself last year, so I can only assume she had to have been disqualified. And has been placed by Raquel. You would expect Io to win this. I mean, Rhea's in there. Io's just too a star. The best wrestler in the world of all women, I think. You can't not have her in there. But I suppose there's an outside chance Raquel could win. Kairi's not going to be in there, for sure. As for them, I think Bronson Reed should go through, but knowing WWE, they'll probably put fucking Yeet Man in there. Bro, I swear to God, if this motherfucker qualifies and runs it back in the chamber, I'm going to be so upset. Because they're probably going to do it. He did it in War Games. He went on to the fucking KO, stop doing this, and let's run it back. He did it in the middle of the Rumble while Brock Lesnar's getting fucking eliminated. It's got to happen. There's no reason why Bronson Reed should not be in this match. You need a Vision guy in there, I think. There's 3 qualifiers from Raw. Chad Gable's not going to be in there for sure. I think his direction, we'll talk about that a bit more in it coming up. His direction will be probably a master match with the other Americano, Ludwig Kaiser's Vision at Mania. That will happen, I think. So there's no way he'll be in the chamber. I'm not that high. I don't think there's huge star power names in this compared to, the SmackDown match that's coming up. I think that should be great on Friday Night SmackDown. It's going to be Damian Priest versus Carmelo Hayes versus Trick Williams. Really excited for that one. No Oba, which I predicted. A lot of people who just have no semblance of thought. It's the same thing with Gunther later on. They were saying, "Oh, Oba must go in. Oba must go." He's not going to win the chamber. That's the rumor has it he's going to end up on Monday Night Raw. Why would he win the chamber to go instead in the Drew McIntyre story? I wouldn't have minded if they'd done that, if they'd started it by establishing him win the Rumble. I was pulling for him to win the Rumble, but once he lost that, he lost the path to Mania. You could argue, yeah, it'd be too soon for him to go straight in. Anyway, he did at least have a pass with McIntyre and Rhodes, the Cena retirement show. But I think the new direction should, I emphasize should, be him and Lesnar at Mania. I say should now because rumor has it it's going to be Lesnar versus LA Knight at Mania. Oh my god, bro. What the fuck? I would rather LA Knight, Chris Jericho, if Jericho comes back. Or, if you really want the Vision on the show, let's just wrap this shit up already and do LA Knight and some combo of whatever. You could do, I don't know, have the Vision beef with someone else and pull them in. LA Knight should be on the show, but against Lesnar, he's going to get squashed. And, what's the point? What does that do for either of them? It should be Lesnar over. Apparently, Lesnar advertised as being on the show next week, so I'm sure we'll have a better idea of where things are going to go there and then. I'm thinking next week will be the week Oba does decide he's signing with Raw, and then Brock comes up. with Heyman, and we have the beginnings of it. Let's hope. Let's hope at least. Of course, Brock Lesnar with the Heyman connection does fit in somewhat with LA Knight. But man, like looking at tonight, I've said this after the Rumble. I feel like we should have moved on from LA Knight and the fucking Vision. He's been feuding with them since what was it, Money in the Bank? That was in June, man. Come on, it's been 8 months. 8 months. This guy needs to fucking just move on. I don't think it was a great match. It wasn't awful. It was okay as an intro, I guess, but it didn't really set the crowd alight, and it was only downhill from there. After this, so we had some intrigue, but WWE, Matt, you talk about like recycled mystery angle. There was a random crate backstage, big ass crate, big enough for a person to be in. Wink, wink. I don't know if they're going to sell that as like realism because it said on the crate, "Do not open until the 28th of February," which coincidentally is the Elimination Chamber. Adam Pearce, with some stagehand dude, was talking about it, and he did acknowledge it. Oh, that's the night of it. Pearce then asked for it to be put in a truck and sent to SmackDown for Nick Aldis to deal with. They wanted nothing to do with whatever the fuck's in there. They've done this before. The shades of Chainsaw Charlie, um, the Gobbledygooker, of course, the infamous egg. Normally, when they do something like this, Chainsaw Charlie, that thing was just there on the night of the show. There was no like build up to it. The obvious choice for this is Chris Jericho. I even saw some posts later on social media. I actually went on social media when I woke up and saw some spoilers, and at that point I was like, "Oh shit, yeah, turn it off. Just watch Raw. Don't want to." But it's also someone who this seemed to stretch. There was like black marks on this box that he filled in. The guy who made the post even acknowledged it. It's a bit of a stretch, but it looked like you could kind of make Y and then a two, Roman numerals two, so it looks like II, and then something of a J. It kind of went at mirror image here, so kind of went like uh, what way would it be like? Yeah, like cross. It does seem to fit Jericho. Of course, his famous debut, which I still consider to be the second greatest debut of all time, behind Kane's in '97. That debut was just incredible. Amazing cell match. First ever Hell in a Cell match. Taker versus Michaels. Kane comes and rips the door off. Stairs, goes toe to toe, face to face with Taker. Then bam, Tombstone Power Driver. Jericho's debut was famous as well. It was a big jump the ship moment, which was right from the Monday Night Wars. He interrupted The Rock. He had the big countdown thing on. When he came back with the code break Jericho, there was all these codes, and then there was a big countdown before then. It just fits his character. It fits the ways he returned to WWE or debuted in the past. With this countdown of bam, on this day. He didn't give a specific time. It's just Elimination Chamber. Now, if that's the case, then it is Jericho, and I'm 95% sure it is. Where is he going to debut? What's going to happen? You know, you'd have to think it's the men's chamber match, some capacity. I was hoping maybe for a Jericho versus LA Knight feud. Is he going to come in and fuck LA Knight? Who else could he come in and must match and fuck over? I can't think, honestly. And Adam Pearce saying, will you wheel this off to SmackDown? Is that an indicator that if Jericho does return, he will actually be on SmackDown? So maybe he's going to fuck over a SmackDown guy. He could fuck over Trick Williams, maybe. I'm assuming Trick qualifies this Friday. I would still rather have Trick versus Mello at Mania, but Trick versus Jericho would be a good match for him. Work with a big star, famous name right from the off, someone who you could really learn from. And imagine the promo battles those two could have. There are a lot of questions, and I must admit, for such a basic, as if infamous Jim Cornette, Russo moment, Vince Russo says, "Oh, Jim Cornette said anyone who comes out in a box is instantly over," which is why they did that for Chainsaw Charlie on there. I love that show. It was the final Raw of '97. Cactus came out to take on the New Age Outlaws, who were heels, and Chainsaw Charlie comes out the box eventually using the chainsaw. It was Nick Terry Funk. It kind of has worked, to be fair, because I do have interest for what the fuck this is going to be. I just don't see where else on the show it'll come out. It's not going to be in the Becky AJ match, obviously, or Punk Finn, I don't think. So, because Punk's obviously then going on to feud with Roman when he wins that match, he'll definitely win. And it's not going to be anything relevant to the women's chamber. Maybe it's Bianca. No, I don't think so. Oh, by the way, yeah, on topic of that news, I'm sure I heard today that Bianca Belair said she's getting surgery on her finger. I think it might be for the second time today. So best luck to her. Hopefully she's back relative soon. I think it could be as late as like the summer, maybe even SummerSlam now. But yeah, hopefully this is like heading into the right direction for her. After this, the Americanos turned up. They actually gave promo time to Bravo and Ryo here, which is a surprise. I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember what they said, but they were complaining about Kaiser then complained about the other Americano getting a qualifying match. That is to say, Chat Game. There was it cut to an ad break. Then there was a hype vignette for Wynn's Chamber qualifier tonight, which was Natty, Bailey, and Asuka. Kathy Kelly then spoke to Gable, Chad Gable. He spoke in English. He said there's only one Americano. Paid tribute to Javon, who we teamed with last week. He said the young OG and the Americano OG bounced off the imposter, basically. Yeah. I'm glad Javon's now clear of the Americano vortex. It should just be Kaiser and Gable going at it now, which I think it will be for the next season, really, until Mania. After this, we did actually have the Women's Chamber qualifier. Maybe not. Asuka did her entrance, and you could see she got a coat caught. Like there's some kind of chain rope following it, like chain string, and it got wrapped up on the fucking rope, which she's trying to hook up. Thankfully, she was right next to the turnbuckle. She always goes up anyway, but I think she wanted a coat on when she unmasked, and then she takes it off. She tried to get it loose for like a second, wasn't budging. Then was like, "Fuck it," took her coat off, did her entrance as normal on the rope. Natty then came out. It was interesting. She was introduced as representing the Half Family Dungeon. She came out. There's a new kind of presentation for her. They film her from behind. She's got the gum shield. The gum shield looked like it had a design on today, where it was really like black and white. Like I think it looked cool. Then Bailey comes out. I thought this was a good match. I think it might be the match tonight. The two qualifying matches were the best on the show for sure. The crowd sadly just didn't really seem to give a fuck. I don't think they really responded much to this. It was starting from about now. It was this way for the rest of the night, honestly. Bailey knocked out Asuka at the ring early. Natty then a Mexican surfboard on Bailey, which I thought looked great. I always love that move. It just reminds me of King from Tekken, the old school King 2 chain combo. You can tell I've been playing some of the old Tekken again recently. So yeah, I like that a lot. Asuka came in after Bailey was kind of removed from action. Traded a lot of strikes with Natty. And a really nice looking German on Asuka. Bailey did a flip powerbomb onto Asuka to the bottom turnbuckle. She looked brutal. And then she did that spot where she kind of does the baseball slide dive from one diagonal of the ring, one side of the ring to another, right across the turnbuckle. No one does that better than Bailey. I thought Bailey looked really good tonight. There was a lot of back and forth between all three women. At one point, they were all stood in the centre, and they're both Asuka and Natty are kind of trading blows with Bailey, of course, who's the only face in this match, so it's bound to happen. After this back and forth, Bailey hung Natty in a tree of woe, knocked her down, then dropped a superplex on Asuka, which was kicked out of. Natty grabbed Bailey's head, threw her over the rope at one point, and Bailey just no-sold it. This made me laugh. This was a miscue. She grabs it, as if to go. I don't know what happened to it. Bailey just literally turned her back on it. She just didn't go. Just turned her back and then went after Asuka and was like hitting her. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then after this, like a second later, Natty did fucking throw Bailey. So Billy Bailey just forgot, or Natty jumped the gun on some plans part of getting Bailey out the ring. Uh, Probably the latter because Asuka was still waiting there, and I guess maybe they wanted Asuka cleared out first. I don't know. A few minutes later, that he hit a beautiful looking German suplex on Bailey on the apron. This looked great. She then got hit with the Asuka lock, which she rolled out of, did a back roll, reversal into a pin, was kicked out by Asuka. There was a set up powerbomb on Asuka. This again looked really good. Into a sharpshooter, which Bailey then broke up. Bailey then dodged tip attack from Asuka, which knocked Natty outside the apron. Hit Bailey to belly on Asuka. Asuka kicked out really late on this one. And Asuka knocked Bailey into Natty, knocking her off the ropes again when she tried to get back into the ring. And then back straight into an Asuka lock. I feel like Bailey tapped kind of soon here, but I guess Natty had only been knocked off the apron, so you can't really hold it for too long. Yeah, she tapped out and Asuka advances to the chamber. I feel like this was needed. It was hard for me to predict between Asuka and Bailey. Because I just feel like Bailey's been so hard done by this fucking company the last year, especially. But I guess you needed a heel in there. Both chambers so far, I mean, this company has a real fucking problem letting the heels win in the last 6 months. At one point, I think it was like late July, just before SummerSlam. They had every single champion. This company was a heel. But man, if you look at the actual like treatment of them since then, good God, they're just losers. Women's Chamber right now, you have Tiffany, face, Rhea, face, Alexa, face. You needed a heel there. Asuka, it has to be Asuka or Natty, and Natty's obviously occupied right now with Maxine Dupree. So, yeah, Asuka made sense here, I guess. Speaking of Maxine, she attacked Natalie. Natalie. She was never even Natalie. She was Natalia, but she attacked Natty after the match on the as she's headed up the aisleway, and then she threw her into the back screen on the way to Gorilla. It's not even really like, I mean, some security came out. It's not even really like that to pull off it. She just kind of was like, "Yeah, bitch," just walked off. We cut backstage. Adam Pearce talking to Oba Femi, still trying to court them, both Pearce and Aldous. Pearce offered Oba a contract and said you're not going to do better than SmackDown's offer here. This is better. Oba said he needs time to decide. I mean, Pearce had said, I'm sure you need time to decide. Oba basically just agreed. Then Rusev appeared and stared down Oba. Now, if there's an indicator as to, which he's more likely to join, this could be it. Because it wasn't like the Kit Wilson scenario where, he had run in. I love those segments on Friday. He had run in with Oba where he insulted him. And then they set a match for this Friday. This was just a stare down, which is making me think, oh, maybe it's going to be a miniature feud. By miniature feud, I mean just a couple of weeks of back and forth, and then they have a match, and never wins. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they just do it next Monday. We'll see. But it seemed like there's more to come from that. So, good God, don't expect an answer from Oba this Friday. Even they're dragging this shit out. I don't mind him doing it for the time being because it keeps him off the chamber. Like I said, he shouldn't be in the chamber if he's not going to win it because you don't want him taking a pin. Oba should go on a long unbeaten run here. After this, I've complained about this in the past. They need to stop doing this shit, man. The only broadcaster in the entire company, honestly, I do not care much for is Alicia Taylor. And a large part of it is because of this cringe sign of the night segment they do. She's okay at actually ring announcing at times, but she's not got the voice for this. She's not good at this. I could barely hear her as well over the fucking Raw theme song they'll play. Oh, welcome to the side of the night. Next up, look at the Rhea Ripley is Baba. It's just awful. I don't even know what she's seeing these signs on, or it's like some monster screen. Half the time, I feel like she's behind. They're showing a sign. She's still describing the previous one, or whatever. Just awful. Get rid of this shit. The signs are not even creative nowadays. Mostly, they take any creative ones off them. The one interesting sign moment we had last year was when LA Knight grabbed the sign, basically burying Jey Uso and promoting LA Knight. And then he got fucking buried the next number of weeks. They took him out of War Games. So after this segment, that again infuriated me. Michael Cole sat down with Liv Morgan to discuss who she's going to take on in the Mania match. Dom arrived at the start. Michael Cole asked Liv who she'll pick. Liv said she's decided, and she's decided she won't rush this decision. She's enjoying having everyone on the toes, basically, waiting. Out of nowhere, Stephanie Vaquer just wandered in. She arrived. She looks great. She sits down and then cut an impassioned minute plus long promo, entirely in Spanish. Well, Dom, and you can't even really hear Dom. He's quietly kind of whispering in Liv's ear and translating. Liv then cried. She fucking cries. I'm like, bro, you've just had a heel. What is supposed to be top heel Raw, the women's division, crying because of a promo face cut. What the fuck was this? Also, bro, I don't have my phone on me. I've seen what the promo entailed later on, but at the end of the fucking day, I shouldn't have to do this. It's not Vaquer's fault per se, but I'm sick of being polite. I'm sick of us accepting this. I feel like an uncultured swine, but I, like most people, I would imagine, Westerners who watch the product, only speak English. I don't know what she's saying. If it's something like a brief promo, like sometimes they do this. Asuka and Kyrie, or Io, or, Vaquer herself in the past, or Raquel. They'll say some things in English, they'll throw the odd line or two in Spanish or Japanese, and then they'll go back to English. That's fine. I don't mind that. You know, you can get a general gist of what they're saying. This was over a minute straight of just full on. I'm sure it's a beautiful promo. I've read the transcript after, which I'll recap in a sec. And she seemed very passionate. She seemed very up for it. I guess it was their way of letting Vaquer be Vaquer, who she really is, cut a promo in a native language. But this made no fucking sense, man. It was a pre-tape segment. Why did you need Dom there to translate? I guess to get Liv's instant reaction, but you could have done subtitles. It was pre-taped. If this was live, I'd be like, okay, fair enough. There's no reason it shouldn't have been live then. What the fuck, bro? Like, if you're... I don't mean harsh. Like I said, I don't mean to be an uncultured swine. At the end of the day, it's not like Vaquer's English is bad. She's been criticised for not quite, I don't know, not quite connecting the fans in her promo work and stuff to Little Wood and that. But she's still learning. She's still learning English. If she can't cut a promo in English, a lengthy one, why are you having to go into Mania as champ? The big women's match, the showpiece women's match. And you have Stephanie Vaquer, can't cut they don't trust to cut promo in English to the extent they're going to make her do it in Spanish for a minute. So then after the fucking show, everyone has to go on social media to see what the fuck she's even saying. That upset Liv. You also have on the other side Jade Cargill, who just can't speak English natively because she's just shit at promos and she has no character. And she can't do any of that. What the fuck are we doing, man? You need to build story. It's the biggest show of the year. It sounds harsh, but at the end of the day, if you can't cut a promo in English of that length, do not be champion. I did not like this. I did not care for this at all. What she actually said, it turns out, also doesn't even really apply to Liv. she was spitting bars. She was saying a lot of good stuff, but I don't think it fit her opponent. She effectively said was, apparently the direct translation from Spanish is, "Oh fuck you, Liv. Why are you saying you've grinded and stuff? You don't know what grinding is. You've always been here. You've always had the best medics, the best trainers. I came from Chile, which didn't even have a pro wrestling scene. I've worked in Japan. I've worked in Europe. I've worked in Mexico. Vaquer. It's funny. Finn Balor touches upon stuff like this later on in the segment immediately after this, I think, which is much better. But she's basically saying, I've been around the world. I've trained everywhere. I've been through the hardships. I've been there and done it everywhere. So she was basically saying, you can't talk about this whole narrative of you've grinded, etc., compared to me. Which is true. Vaquer is very well traveled. She's hit the indies. She's worked her way up. But Liv Morgan, yeah, she's always been WWE, but it's not like she was instantly given stuff. That was one of Vaquer's lines. You've been given everything. You've been handed everything. Bro, in terms of the WWE product, first and foremost, if you don't know Vaquer and it passed, she's been given more than Liv from the off. Look at her debut year. She was NXT Women's Champ. She was North American Champ. She won the Women's Championship. She's kind of faced no hardship, really. It's just been a constant rise at the top. No one won more matches last year than Vaquer. No one got within 10 wins of it. Within 10, which is insane. It was something like 46 and whatever. Tiffany Stratton, I think, is the person who had the highest win rate, but of course she was champ. She had a lot less matches. So this made no sense. Also with Liv, she came from a humble background. She was a Hooters waitress. Came in similar deal as a Charlotte Flair, but of course, she had Ric Flair. She had a history with the business. Similar deal with a lot of the other homegrown talents like an Alexa or something. But Alexa, at least when she came onto the main roster, was handed a lot. She was made world champ straight off and had a run basically as the face of the division for a couple of years. Liv went on a different path. It was more a slur of Vince not really utilizing her to the extent that she's capable of until Triple H came in. She came in 2016 to NXT, I think. Then was on the main roster a year or two later and was kind of a jobber for a lot of the time. It was only really about 2022. She finally got her flowers. She won Money in the Bank. She won the title. And since then has been in a lot better standing. So this promo, when you actually break it down, did not even make sense for who she's speaking to. And it just made her look pathetic. She's crying. She was upset later on in the segment, the show as well, which we'll get to, but no. I did not care for this. I like Liv a lot. I was always someone who was of the opinion that she was underutilized for those years where she wasn't used well and she should be where she's at now. But I'm not going to lie, I think since she's come back, she's been great in ring. She is very solid in ring. She's not one of the best in the company, but she's in the upper echelon, I think, of the women. She never looks out of place. She can hang with anyone. She's good. She was the MVP of last year's Chamber. I actually don't like a lot of the promo stuff she's done since she's gotten back. It's not always her fault. I think the presentation, everything of this just was bad. It was bad. Michael Cole sat there as well for the whole interview, and he basically said nothing else after Vaquer came and did this because she conducted the whole thing in Spanish. So she's what the fuck. So after this, another thing that really fucking annoyed me, and again, I hate it because I like the person involved. It's just to start this, don't worry, because the actual segment I really like. CM Punk came out. It's Netflix only broadcast, and I'm watching it back. I don't know how it was live. I think watching it back, it cuts out the ads and stuff. If this had ads in between, this is awful. Because he there's an ad break, then he makes his entrance No, sorry. His music comes out. On. He starts coming down. It cut. The screen faded to black for me. I'm watching it on demand. I'm watching it back, so it might have been edited down. But the screen faded to black, and then it comes back, and he's making his entrance, and it went on and fucking on. He's got a banger theme. Living colour, cult of personality. Fucking love it. Chef's kiss. Crowd love it. They're singing along, you know. But boy, you talk about milking. Drew McIntyre recently said when a lot of people are, you know, punking Roman Reigns or farmers. He's right. I mean, Drew does it himself too at times where it actually fits. Like when he made his first SmackDown entrance as champ in London from crowd. That one at least made more sense. But that whole thing was like 7 minutes, 8 minutes of slowly comes out, he's celebrating, he's giving it beans, he's flexing and all this shit. This is just a random Raw in Memphis. It goes on and on and on. Punk's kind of dictating. He grabs a mic, he looks like he's going to talk bits, and he puts it down. Then the screen faded to black again. It's like, I'm thinking, did these motherfuckers, if I watch this live, did they take another ad break? So his music started, it's faded to black. He does his entrance, it goes on for like 5 minutes. It faded to black again, and then it came back. Bro, like, do not have your fucking shows 2+ hours if this is how you're going to fill it. I watched the Attitude Era, some of the greatest entrance pop ever. Austin, Rocky, Taker, all of them, HBK, Brett. This would have had a fucking coronary if someone took this long on an entrance back in the day. I love CM Punk, but this is so much. I'm sat there, I'm looking at me, what the fuck's this? But they do it all the time. In Mania these days, they post all these classic matches of recent years, the highlight matches on their show. I watched the one where it was Punk versus last year's main event, Mania. Punk versus Reigns versus Rollins. From the first entrance to when the ring bell went, it was something like 17 minutes, which is longer time than a lot of matches were given on card. It is the Aura Farm era. They drag out time. It's even worse than SmackDown because they have to fill 3 hours. Pisses me off, man. This is where the fast forward button was actually handy, but I kept expecting it to end. The mic ready and all this. Anyway, eventually they come back and he starts to. And Punk has been doing great work recently on the mic. I mean, he's always been a god talking on the mic, possibly the best ever. I like this talk a lot. He talked about he's pissed the office off because they say he's jeopardizing the main event. But he was talking about all the people, and he does this whole, "Oh, does it feel good to be alive on a Monday in Memphis or what?" He's talking about the people in Memphis, the WWE Universe fans, deserve a fighting champion. Finn Balor comes out to his babyface theme, I will add, which he started coming out to recently. It's coming soon. Dom and JD McDonough joined him. So JD McDonough's back. It's good to see him back. Finn came to the ring. Like I said, there were shades of kind of what Vaquero was saying before this. He said to Punk, "You can't call yourself the best in the world unless you train under the greatest catch wrestlers in Europe, learn the greatest luchadors in Mexico, or survive the toughest Japanese dojos. And also beat Roman Reigns on the best Raw," which he did do to win the Universal Championship. So effectively he's saying, by proxy, the best in the world has stood in front of you. Because unless you've been everywhere in the world, learned from the best, learned all these different styles, proved yourself in every different area of wrestling, every different stronghold of wrestling, Europe, actually Britain and Ireland, Mexico, Japan. Those are the other huge wrestling hubs of the world, besides North America. So his point is very easy to understand. Finn claimed he's not jeopardizing the Mania main event. When he wins at Chicago, he's making it better. Punk then went on his spiel. He told JD and Don. He said, why are you surrounded by these guys? Basically, you said you did all this thing. And yeah, you did. And that's why I gave you the shot to begin with in Belfast. Punk came out a couple of weeks, a couple of months prior to that. It said when he first won the title, he wants to defend against the likes of Finn and JD, which he seemingly forgot about now. Um, and Punk, Punk for sure, I feel like had a major play in this whole angle happening. In Finn having the match to begin with, like legit. It's no secret that, wrestlers are that renowned or that prominent on the card, especially Punk, they have some say in what they're going to do in the future, who they work with, or, they're at least consulted. Punk's the smart guy. I think he recognizes that Finn is one of these guys who, has been there, he's done it all. This guy founded Bullet Club. He was one of the co-founders. He's done a lot. He said to Punk, no, to Finn, "You've done all this by yourself, but since then, now you're flanked by these cronies and Judgment Day. What have you done? Basically, you're not the Finn of old. Now you need these guys to come escort you and help you achieve your goals." He then sort of both Dom and JD. He said, "Dom, oh, this idiot, has two titles that he never defends." Which people are starting to make a narrative of now. But at the end of the day, Dom was injured for most of it, so I'm not going to jump on that one. He's no Jay Cargill. Let's face it. He also insulted JD saying, this guy's head's too big to get in the ring. The crowd then started shouting bobblehead, I think. So a bit of a far-flung cry from when Punk was listing JD, just like Finn, as one of the guys he respects and thinks is great and underrated and he wants to defend against. Whatever. um, he said the Judgment Day waved him down like an anchor. Punk then turned his back on all three of them and invited them to attack him, basically, because saying, Finn actually needs help these days. JD was all for it. He was about to, he was trying to get it. Punk, Finn held him back with his arm. No. Dom's messing with Finn. What are you doing? Let's fucking jump him now. Let's weaken him before Chicago. And he wouldn't have it either. Punk then turns around. He threw the fucking mic. Finn Balor. It hits him in the chest and just flops down. And he's just looking up. But that was it. Punk then left. The crowd seemed really dead for this. I don't get why. I thought this was a good segment. It wasn't blow you away Punk Reigns level segment that they had a couple of weeks ago. But again, this is solid. Punk has had a really, really good run, I think, as world champ so far. I think the way he won it was not great because that match was just dog shit. But Jay Sotax, he was involved in it. Can't blame Punk. Since then, I think it's been good. And I'm hyped for match, man. I like both guys. I'm happy that Finn Balor's getting more shine put on him, really. And it wouldn't be the last we saw him that night. It seems like they're heading in a particular direction, which we'll discuss when we get to it. After this, Byron Saxton was backstage interviewing Rhea and Io. Not much right own, by neither of them are a good promo. Rhea's never really captured me. The most interesting thing I thought about this was it looked like she had a gold extension or something on her tooth. It was a protective thing, or she just had dental surgery or something. But I feel there was something there that kind of distracted me from what she was saying anyway. But they were talking about Nia and Lash, and they had a tough match Friday, but they put them down. They want to come back to take them on. They'll smash them and all this. Io goes to talk, but then Kabuki Warrior showed up. Kari is talking shit. Rhea gives the usual spiel of, I'm in the chamber. If you think you're gonna qualify for the chamber, but Io, and if you and Asuka think you've got a chance, you've got no chance. Asuka then says, "No, you are not ready for the chamber." That's it, really. Kari goes to talk. Io goes to say something to Kari, who's still doing the terrified of Asuka gimmick. Asuka, as usual, Kari shouts her off. it was not for the segment, really. Like this may as well not have been in the car. It was just an encounter backstage. There's too much of this shit these days, man. You know, it's a segment that I wouldn't say it was bad. I don't know if it needed to exist. It just filler. And after this, we had Ludwig Kaiser's El Grande Americano versus Penta. Earlier on, Kaiser had, I forgot to note this, he'd approached Adam Pearce asking for an Intercontinental Championship match. Pearce said, I'm not going to give you one, but I'll give you the opportunity to earn one later tonight. So this was effectively a number one contender match. I don't think they announced it as such, but I'm pretty sure after the match, they said the winner will get one soon. Penta came out to a good reaction, as usual. Ryan Bravo provided the various distractions throughout this match, as you'd expect, for Ludwig Kaiser to get ahead early. And I didn't make too many notes on this. It was fine. It wasn't a great match. It wasn't a bad match. But yeah, it was mostly heel on top, thanks to shenanigans. Typically, when they were just allowed to go 1v1, Penta would get the better. Penta's a big driver at one point. Just got a kick out. Bravo distracted Penta, and Kaiser did his flying headbutt thing, but he didn't have the metal plate on at that point. Raya went to give it him. This is about 5-10 minutes into the match. Then he suddenly got dragged onto the ring by an unknown assailant, which soon unearthed to be Jack Gable's Americana. He came crawling out from under the ring. It's the way he pulled him down. It's just like, the fuck? He then attacked Bravo, and Kaiser comes across. He's sufficiently distracted enough that Penta then gets the Canadian Destroyer, sorry, and gets the win. Gable then attacked Kaiser post match, tried to take his mask off again, but his buddies, Brian Bravo, kind of drag him on the way. It looked like this was threatening to come off. It got kind of high. There was a lot of his face on show at one point. I was like, oh god, they're gonna fuck this up. But no, they drag him away. It's been the same kind of spiel between these two, game kind of shtick for the last week or two. Like I said, I think it's just leading to a mask match at Mania. It seems the kind of silly 5-10 minute second on the card match they could do that, will garner some interest, especially from the Mexicans, I think. Because it's interesting. Kaiser's Americano is really over in Mexico, and the American crowds prefer Gable's one. They may end up doing this match twice. I don't know how they're going to do this, but surely it'll be Mania. Maybe they'll do a AAA big show or something. You never know. Excuse me. After this, it went backstage. Liv was still looking upset with Dom and Raquel. Raquel said some words and was basically like, oh, come here, Chiquita, I'll cheer you up. Took her off somewhere. Finn and JD appeared. JD questioned Finn holding them back earlier on, and Finn was basically insisting that, he needs to do this alone. He needs to beat Punk alone. It's clear, obviously, Punk is effectively playing mind games with Finn. He's getting under his skin. You were this great guy. You did all these accomplishments. Yes, you went to Europe and Mexico and Japan. Say went to Europe. He's from Europe, but you know what I mean. You've done it all these places. Now these guys, you need henchmen. And Finn is getting his ego whacked enough that he's refusing their help. So there's some division there. JD was basically like, oh, suit yourself then. They had a bit of a strop and went separate ways. And then that was end of segment. Dom was kind of like in the middle, like, shit. We had Kofi, Kingston, and Grayson Waller come out. New Day's music went off. Grayson's changed then, because rumor has it he is the actual physical guy under the mask. So they had him doing double duty tonight. They came out and said Xavier Woods has got a shoulder injury. So that's unfortunate. Hopefully he's back soon. There's another shoulder injury, man. There's been so many over like last year. I feel like it's a fucking endemic right now. Uh, yeah, you could list like about a third of the roster probably suffered shoulder injuries, especially on Raw in recent times. So fingers crossed, it's not as bad. Someone like a Penta who had a shoulder injury was back relatively soon. But then you look at like Rollins and how long he's been out. Unfortunate. Grayson read a statement from that Woods had sent that was basically just trashing the town. Said I would love to have been in Memphis, but the last thing I want to be is in a Pavo place like this. Which is obviously Grayson translating his own slang into Woods' word. I don't think Xavier Woods would say the word Pavo. Grayson even explained, he was like, yeah, Pavo, it's an Australian word. It's made me laugh. Aussie culture and their slang is very like much a bastard offshoot of kind of the slang you'd have in England. So as an Englishman, I have a little more understanding of it, uh, of where they come from and their humour. So this just made me laugh. He also talked of the Grizzlies at one point, who I assume are like a Memphis American sports team. I don't fucking know. But their promo just got cut off, man. It just faded to black. It just straight up got cut off. They obviously overrun it. They just made me laugh. It was like, yeah, fuck you. Cut off. After this, maybe this is the promo that should have been cut off because AJ Lee came up. I did do a review of last week's Raw, but the AJ Lee and Becky Lynch segment was awful. It was really, really bad. This week wasn't quite as bad, but I don't think it was great. At times, it was rough. I feel like individually they did okay. It's more when they were interacting. For whatever reason, it's not quite hitting. I say for whatever reason, this angle began September, in the build up to WrestlePalooza. I feel like they're waiting too long. I get the idea of, let's drag it out to Chamber and then probably Mania, Chicago's Chamber, but it's struggling to take steam right now. AJ came out. Just recap what happened last week. Said she came out of it number one contender. I mean, bro, what? She was just given the type. Whatever. She also said she had a stark reminder, how rough it can be, because Becky smashed her face into a ring post. She said she hasn't arrest one-on-one match in 11 years, 10 years, whatever it is, but she'll be ready. She then talked about how she made the Divas title, basically. She got cheered for this. I think that's a bit much. A bit of a disrespect to some other women who held that title. But at the end of the day, she's not that far on golf. AJ Lee was the woman of that era, for sure. I think it's only when Paige came on, she found a woman who's truly on a level. Caitlyn was close. Caitlyn's very underrated now. I feel like she's the other one who would have hung in today's era. There's still question marks over AJ can in this era. But I'm talking about if you took them at their peak. At the end of the day, AJ's not back week in, week out. Sure, she'll get more into the rhythm of things with her promos again. But while I agree it's not fully hitting, I do think there's been an over criticism of her work. Because, since the show, I've seen a social media kind of section. I don't know. It was a very, very hit and miss. She said, I'm not modest. I know exactly who I am. There was a women's vision before AJ Lee, and there's one after AJ Lee. That was my gift. You're welcome. I agree in a sense. Never really been a fan of false modesty. If you're a great, you know it. Fucking own it. And she is. She used to do the whole thing. I'm your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler. In a lot of ways, she's correct. Um, I'm sure there'll be a lot of fan bases of women, stands of women, who that does apply to. She named dropped a number of women she wants to work with. This year they were Bailey, Lyra, Rhea, Io, the Kabuki Warriors, the Judgment Day. She didn't specify who, just all three of them, I guess, and Charlotte Alexa. So they're all on a wish list. If she does have like a 2-3 year kind of part-timer contract. We'd expect her to go through all these, and they'd be good matches. You know, I think everyone would be involved in all of these names against AJ. She then gave Becky. She said she gave Becky a 10-year head start, and she still hasn't caught up. She said she's going to walk into Mania as the Intercontinental Championship. And then, this is an actual quote. She invited Becky down. She said, Becky Boo Boo, if you want to come out to this ring, I've got something for that ass. Interesting choice of words. I'm not sure what Seth would say about that. You know, someone saying to his wife, I've got something for that ass. Becky Boo Boo. Yeah, anyway, Becky comes out. She says, you think this is an opportunity to have a title run? It's an opportunity to give your friends in Chicago goodbye. The farewell match that you never had or deserve. And then she said, in the last 10 years, Becky's been making history while AJ's made comic books. So wrong there. Becky has set a number of records or, been a part of the real change. Of course, AJ was the kickstart of this change, quite literally, with the hashtag give women a chance. But Becky kind of, has reaped the rewards of what AJ sowed. AJ then invited Becky into the ring to throw hands. The crowd randomly started chanting, "What's that trick?" They were doing this throughout the night. I don't know whether they expected Trick Williams. Trick's so over, he's got chance on Raw now. Raw could use him, man. Honestly, I think SmackDown's been better this year, and I don't think it's close. SmackDown helped by having the likes of Trick on there. But yeah, they were chanting, "What's that trick?" And I was just like, damn, man. Yeah, I don't think they're really interested in the segment if they're chanting for a man who's not even on the fucking show. When these women are talking about the history of the women's revolution as well. Anyway, I like Becky. A lot of people say she's one of the best promos. She is. But, and I know this is part of her character, but so often she will stutter on her words, man. She just sounds drunk. It makes me laugh, honestly, because she does just sound like a drunken Irish woman. And, I live in a place that's kind of, even though it's England, there's a lot of Irish culture and history and tradition, heritage there because of how close we are. We're the closest port to Ireland. I'm part Irish myself through my grandmother, so I have a certain affinity and fondness for them. She just makes me smile, and she's this like stuttering Irish mess. But yeah, it's just overdone at times, and her acting like irate and rattled by AJ Lee and her mannerisms has just been so overdone, so OTT. It's almost OTT enough to be entertaining, but I feel like it's going to wear thin. It's going to grate thin very soon. And my threshold's already close to being annoyed by it. AJ had to invite her into the ring twice. She said, look, I'll let you take the first one. Then Becky does. All right, she takes off that massive fair coat she has, ridiculous coat. He steps through. Still wouldn't really. He said, AJ went, oh, look, come on then. Threw the mic down. Well, said, I'll put my hand behind my back. Throws the mic down. She does indeed put her hands behind her back. She leaned forward. She's blowing kisses to her and everything. And Becky just wouldn't do it. She's still stuttering on the mic. Oh, no, but that'll just be an excuse you'll provide when you can't get the job done with Chamber. And she refused. She refused to hit her, left the ring, and then a ranting Becky walked back up the aisle. Are they building this match? Well, not a huge amount, but at the end of the day, it's steps. AJ's been here 2 weeks in a row now. Nice. I hope she's there next week as well, Atlanta, Georgia. We need, more build up to it. So I would like to see another segment, maybe where they do. There's going to be a brawl between them next week, I think. Adam Pearce was backstage, ran into Paul Heyman, the Vision. Austin Theory asked him how he'd let that happen to his brother Logan Paul, referencing the stomp from earlier. Kept calling him his brother. Heyman ushered him away, like a little bitch. Austin Theory is just like the Vision's bitch, basically. It's sad. He shooed him away, and you could hear Theory like, "Oh, open this door, open this door. I think he was trying to like get out of the shop, thinking maybe he's in the actual shop, but there's some door wouldn't comply. It was just fucked up. Eamon says Pierce needs to do something about the masked man. Pierce said, look, he's a problem for me too. Then Big Bronny Reed comes over, said he's a problem solver that he's vowed to solve. He said once he catches the masked man, he'll fix that problem. And he said he intends to win the qualifying match next week and win the chamber. No, Bronson, you're not going to win the chamber. Kathy Kelly in the stands again. She interviewed Maxine Dupree, who said, first and foremost, she's rooting for her girl AJ. She knows she can beat Becky, and she believes she's going to do it in Chicago. Which I would agree with. I think AJ probably win this, just because it's in Chicago. And Triple H is such a pussy over the last 6 months that the second the fans started criticising the lack of creative and the bullshit they do doing all throughout 2025, he just has faces win everything. So, like, she's going to win. Maxine said what she gave Natty earlier on that night was a receipt for last week. Natty, of course, beat down on Maxine, got the both double counts out last week, I think. And then applied a sharpshooter on the announce. A quote from Maxine. She said, I'll continue to get back up again and again and again. The last one, she just fucking shouts and screams. Bro, like, don't do too much. Not the first time tonight where a woman especially was just doing way too much. I'm like, okay, chill. She did the same. I said this in a review a couple of weeks ago when she was backstage with Otis and Cesaro. I like that she's definitely more keeping my attention, and I'm paying more attention to her promos. She doesn't have to be too extra with it. I like the passion. I like she's a bit more to the point and, decisive with her words. You can tell she believes it. There's a real believability in her facial expressions, etc. You don't have to scream certain parts of. I guess that's maybe the character she's going for, that intensity she's trying to keep, where it's like she explodes any moment in promo. But, you're not like Macho Man Randy Savage. You don't need to do it. It just seemed a bit much for me. But yeah, I'm sure that story will continue. I don't expect that to be next week, though. I think they'll focus more on Chamber stuff next week. Speaking of next week, we're at a video package detailing AJ Styles, how it showed him losing his retirement match and his send-off for the Royal Rumble, where he was going to lay his gloves down and he didn't. And then it was kind of a recap of his career, really, that went on for a couple of minutes. Nice video package. And I'm thinking, oh, wow, so they are going to have him appear next week. Why next week? Why did they not do it the next day, which is what I expected in Philadelphia? But then it became clear. It was announced that next Monday's Raw is in Atlanta. And I was like, oh. Because, of course, Atlanta, Georgia, and they said this on the promo immediately after, is AJ's home state. Maybe his hometown, Atlanta, I don't know. Maybe he's from Georgia. Well, it just said it's going to be a tribute show or a tribute section to him. So I imagine he's there. Surely he's going to be there. We'll see what comes of that. Maybe there they announce he's in the Hall of Fame. That's a possibility. I'm looking forward to it. It'd be good to see AJ. We've not heard from him at all since the Rumble, which is like 2.5 weeks ago now. Real hype vignette for tonight's main event. Javon versus Dom versus Gunther in the Chamber qualifying match. And then they came out. Gunther dominated early, took Dom to the outside, positioned for a powerbomb. And Javon, out of fucking nowhere, just comes diving over. Huge dive. Took them all out. Gunther kind of rolls over the infamous timekeeper barricade. They always have to have some spots. They love it. They fucking love that corner. If you ever go to the rugby show and you're stood like kind of behind that area, something's gonna happen right in front of you. You just know it. Uh, Dom went over, grabbed the timekeeper hammer. Speaking of timekeeper, I wrote down at the this point, the crowd is silent. Bro, they really were. Like, I thought this match was decent. It went on about 15 minutes. It wasn't given that long, but it was given enough. But for so much of this, they were just silent. I don't know, man. Like, maybe they're charging too much. And, a lot of the people who go now are just, because they paid so much, they're expecting a quality that it's not being delivered. And they're not exactly wrong there. I find it's easy to blame the American crowds because when they go to Europe, it's a lot more boisterous, usually. It wasn't even fully the case in Germany this year. Granted, apparently a lot of the people couldn't get in the arena because of the snowstorm. It was a bit better in Belfast and London. But Europe has a handful of shows every few months, so they're bound to be more maybe Americans have fatigue on it or take it for granted. You look at the you look at stuff like that, I feel like the main event deserved more. Javon's huge spot a minute after the crowd is silent, for example. It's not like it got them going. I don't get it. Tom and John went at it for a while because Gunther was just kind of cleared out then for a few minutes. There's a lot of back and forth here. Javon did a move at one point. I love Javon, don't get me wrong. Real high flyer. Some of his moves, though, you actually break it down. We think about it logically. Is there a need to do some of the shit he does? Dom was kind of almost on his hands and knees here at one point, on all fours. Javon jumped off the bottom rope, did this kind of 450 flip, this turn as he does, and then kicked Dom basically on the back of the head. You could have just stood there and kicked him on the back of the head. It was like, it was the most grandiose setup for like the most routine outcome I've ever seen. At least his moves where he's doing it off the rope and stuff, he's kind of, it's like he's getting talked into it, an extra effect, and it sells it as, there's an extra impact. This just kind of didn't. It was just, I laughed out loud when I saw it. It was so extra, it was so unnecessary, but it's Javon. Can't criticize, we fucking love. Gunther caught Javon in a sleeper of this. Dom cleared off. Dom got cleared off the rope. Gunther then got back in, delivered a devastating powerbomb to Javon. It looked like I thought for a sec because you could see Dom in the back of the shot. I wonder whether Dom was supposed to break this up. Javon was forced to kick out. This is one of Gunther's finishes, and Javon had already kind of taken a lot of damage in this match. So I don't know. Either way, he kicked out. There was then a huge high knee for this one surprised me more. There's a huge high knee where again he flipped off the ropes. This is more like it. High knee from Javon and Gunther. This pin was broken up by Dom really late, with Gunther showing no sign of kicking out. Which again surprised me. Gunther's been this big monster. The way they sold it is if Dom wasn't there, Javon would have got the win off Gunther. Mysterio then did a frog splash. Gunther got his knees up, got a sleeper over the ropes, Dom's on the outside of the ropes. Short after, Gunther gets a sleeper on him, and Javon comes out nowhere, grabs his own onto Gunther. Gunther reverses it into a backdrop. Dom goes to hit him on the outside with the hammer. Gunther's gone outside to look like he's going to powerbomb Dom through the ring announce table for a sec. Dom whips out his hammer though, Gunther takes it off him, and then all of a sudden, Dragon Lee emerged from out of nowhere, from the crowd, hit Gunther with the ring bell, again as timekeeper shenanigans. Gunther's just out the match now. Dragon Lee costs him, as I predicted he would. Predicted all this. I'll claim that on. Dom goes back in the ring. Drop kicks. Javon onto the ropes, hits a 619, and then I'm thinking, oh shit, it's gonna be it. It's gonna be that. But he missed the frog splash. Javon rolled out of the way. Then he hit a magnificent, beautiful looking OG cutter. Man, the height he gets on the six, fucking insane. I always worry he's gonna injure himself when he's doing this crazy shit. This huge dive. The commentator said at one point, um, oh, he looked like he hit himself. He will one day. The huge dive into Gunther, spectacular. The flipping knee into Gunther, and then the height on this OG cutter into Dom. Credit to Dom as well, who was in a perfect position, sold it great. This was a great way to finish. Because that was it. One, two, three. Javon gets the win. Pins the IC champ. At the end of the day, they were never going to pin Gunther. I agreed. I said last week and again on Friday. It was the same deal with Gunther as over. You know, you can't have them go into the chamber and lose, so they shouldn't get to the chamber to begin with. So Gunther had to fail to win and had to avoid taking the pin. It was always going to be one of the other two. I said I wanted Javon in the chamber, and this is what they did. Really happy they did. At the end of the day, to get another face in the chamber, but what a great showcase for Javon. You know, he won the main event against the IC champ, Dom, who's held it for most of last year, and the Triple H champ, Mega Campion, and Gunther, who's, you know, Triple H's guy, really. This is really promising for Javon. And you know he's going to have a real star-making performance, possibly in the chamber. The match seems kind of built for him. You have the big pods. It wouldn't surprise me if he goes off a pod at one point, does an OG cutter, or you know he can do some really crazy shit where he's flipping on the ropes into. I could see him setting up someone against the chamber frame and doing like something like that. He pops off the ropes, bam, like right into a knee. I could also see him going for something like that, and then a big kick, and someone moves out the way, and he kind of gets caught up almost in a tree of woe on the. You know, there's a lot you could do with Javon. It'd be really interesting to see how they frame the match. I think he will start the match. I'm going to pick that. He'll be one of the first two. He won't win it. He will be probably the first guy out, but I think he will do a lot of insane stuff in the 15, 20 minutes he gets. Yeah, main event was good. It wasn't spectacular, but it was good. And I really love the win. You know, Triple H had the balls to not have done for win. Right decision. Dom didn't need to win. He's already double champ. So Javon was the choice. I'm a little pleasantly surprised they did go with it. But yeah, man, called this one, and it's exactly what I thought would happen. I think I've predicted every chamber qualifier win so far. So let's hope to keep this run going. I'm going with Trick Williams on Friday. That's coming up. You have Damien versus Mello versus Trick. And then we have Charlotte versus Nia versus Kiana. This is going to be Charlotte wins. She's never been in the chamber, probably. Charlotte Flair. We read that the other day. So now's the time. And what's more, I think she may well win it. I'm still hoping Alexa wins it. Yeah, they'll probably make it Charlotte or Tiffany. Either way, it's almost certainly going to be on the SmackDown women. So they're the three big favourites if Charlotte gets that. And then, yeah, next week, that'll be the last two then, right? What was it? Raquel versus Io versus Kyrie. I'm going with Io. And Bronson versus Jay versus Chad Gable. It's going with Jay. I'm going with Bronson still. I'm going to stick with that. So Dragon Lee versus Gunther. I did predict he would cost them, as is what happened. And I think what will happen is that will just keep Gunther occupied until Chamber now. You know, they'll have a kind of back and forth next week. And then I think the Monday after the Chamber, they'll probably collide. Gunther will beat him, of course. And then the Gunther Mania storyline will start. I still don't know what they're going to do for that. Maybe it's Gunther over. You know, if Lesnar's looking at LA Knight, I wouldn't mind Gunther over, to be fair. If Over went over Gunther at Mania, it's a big statement. I'd still rather have over Lesnar and Gunther someone else. Who knows? Maybe it could be Rey Mysterio. But would Rey want to retire at Mania? You don't have to necessarily do the retirement gimmick for this match. You could just do the match, and I think it'd be acceptable. Yeah, I'm struggling to see what Gunther does for Mania, honestly. I think everyone at the start here expected the AJ story to be dragged out until Mania and, stretched. Similar to what I think people are expecting the AJ and Becky storyline to be. But obviously they went a different route. And who knows? Yeah, there'll be some repercussion for Dragon Lee coming Dragon Lee's way next week. But don't envy it. The Ding Jenner, though, is going to be on the warpath, I'm sure. As for Dom, there'll be some tensions when the Judgment Day because he had no one by his side here because Finn and JD argued earlier on. So, yeah. This all seems to be leading to me to Finn possibly getting booed from the Judgment Day or just leaving them because he feels like they do hold him back. Punk's getting under his skin. He's playing mind games. It's got to lead somewhere. Overall, like I said, I kind of enjoyed the main event. I feel like it was a bit short, but whatever. You've got to have Punk have a 5 minute entrance, I guess. Uh, why have a 15-minute main event with three of the best wrestlers in the fucking division? Who I love all of them, and you're wasting time elsewhere with this bullshit. I don't know. Overall impression, I would give this show a 5.5. I wouldn't say it was awful, but it just put it this way. I didn't watch it live, as I said, obviously. So I watched it on catch up. Twice I had to pause it for I was just doing stuff. Like one time I went to bakery, grab some stuff, and then another time I paused it because I played this game on my phone and I had to collect my rewards and do my daily play on. And then I ended up on my phone for like an hour. So it says a lot. The show was like once I paused it, I wasn't in a rush to get back to it. It took me about 4 hours total to watch the show. For the two pauses. Oh, it summed it up. Yeah, it wasn't good. Let's hope for better next week. I think Friday night SmackDown, that chamber match I'm really looking forward to. I'll probably be back with a review for that. So hope to see you guys then. And yeah, let me know what you thought of the show. It's probably the fastest review I've done so far. And there's a reason for that. Like I said, I don't think the show is all that. We need more, man. But next week's Raw is the go home Raw for the chamber. We need more. You're giving us some stuff, Triple H, but it still seems very routine. It does not feel like Mania season to me. It does not feel so hype. Certainly with the chain, I think the Raw Chamber qualification side next week. I'm not really that enamored by that match. Reed versus Jey Uso. How many times have we seen that? And then you throw in Chad Gable, who's only just got back into the mix and there's nothing to do with either. We need something more. So let's hope for the best next Monday. Yeah, let me know what thoughts were on this show. And then we'll see what Friday brings. Because I can't believe I'm saying this after 2025 and the state SmackDown's in, but I'm looking forward to SmackDown more each week. Raw needs help. It probably does need over. I'm leaning more towards that now. Long time I was like, oh, SmackDown needs over more. I hope over goes SmackDown. No. Raw needs no Bronson Reed, no Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns shows up when he wants. Uh, Not a good show. Not a good show. But yeah, maybe you guys liked it. Let me know down below. Anyway, I'm out of it.